Today on Newsbeat, a member of the Acacia fraternity speaks out about the hazing that got them suspended.
Starbucks is sending an interesting message to its customers.
High school students are learning how to keep athletes safe at LSU.
All of this and more, Tiger TV Newsbeat starts now. Good evening and welcome to Tiger TV Newsbeat. I'm Mitch Rabelet.
And I'm Larissa Bonaquisti. Thanks for joining us. This past week, Starbucks baristas got political with their customers, so I decided to take a closer look at their new race relations campaign. Since its beginning, Starbucks has been the perfect place to get your morning coffee fix and sometimes have a nice conversation with a friend or a coworker. Last week, Starbucks started a new campaign called Race Together, where your local Starbucks barista writes #RaceTogether on your coffee cup to start a race relations conversation. Some critics question the ability of the baristas to have a productive conversation about race while continuing to serve coffee. LSU's Black Student Union president, Nigel Anderson, has his own opinion on how this campaign will affect race relations.
No, I think it's comical at best. I think that it shows what privilege is and what being rich allows you to do. You want to make these workers who make minimum wage somehow have a discussion on race.
Chairman and CEO of Starbucks, Howard Schultz, says that their commitment to equality and opportunity is stronger than ever. They have planned a number of Race Together activities that will show up in the coming months. Students here at LSU see race relations as a serious issue, and some think that talking to their barista would be impersonal.
I don't know if it's necessarily like Starbucks or any like large corporation's job to bring up this issue to the people in the street. Like, I don't know how they exactly could like bring up the issue without being intrusive or invasive into your like personal like opinions and views.
And I don't want to just talk. I want to have legislation. I want to change how we actually, lock up people. How we look at crime.
Starbucks is now pulling back on this portion of the campaign, saying that this was never meant to be permanent, but just the beginning of a much larger push for race relations from Starbucks. If students want to join the race conversation, the Office of Multicultural Affairs offers programs throughout the year.
Well, the conflict over the budget cuts is heating up. State Representative Harold Ritchie proposed raising the state's cigarette tax to close the $1.6 billion deficit. The current tax is 36 cents per pack, which is the third lowest in the nation. The proposed tax would increase that to an amount to $1.54 per pack. This tax would generate over $230 million in revenue while encouraging smokers to quit. Join us next week for students' reactions to this tax increase.
Today, LSU held its annual athletic training symposium. High school students got the opportunity to learn about how to care for our LSU athletes. During the symposium, the current athletic training staff taught the students different ways an athlete can get hurt and how to treat these injuries. The students also learned how to perform CPR. Training is just as important for the athletic trainers as it is for the athletes because they keep the athletes safe.
So athletic trainers, so we specialize in the prevention and evaluation and rehabilitation of athletic injuries in general. So a lot of people stereotype us as like the water boys and the water girls, but we're actually here to oversee our athletes and make sure that they don't get hurt, and when they do get hurt, we're in charge of taking care of them and making sure they get the proper care to return to play.
The current athletic trainers love their job because they get to help athletes overcome their injuries.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz announced his candidacy for president on Monday. The formal announcement was made at Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia, but Cruz told his followers first by releasing a 30-second video. Here's a clip.
It's going to take a new generation of courageous conservatives to help make America great again. And I'm ready to stand with you.
Ted Cruz is the first person to announce his candidacy. With this announcement kicking off the 2016 election cycle, we went over to Twitter to see if this got LSU students talking. Michael says, so all reporters are using Yik Yak to gauge feelings about Ted Cruz. LSU, you have been warned. Well, Michael, we're using Twitter, but you've been warned. Hannah says, breaking news, Ted Cruz takes time off from looking like every LSU frat guy to run for president. Hannah, why can't he look like an LSU frat guy and run for president at the same time? Jake says, did you know that Ted Cruz's dad applied to 3 colleges, 2 of which were Texas and LSU? Texas accepted him. Okay. No one else has formally announced their candidacy, but more candidates are expected to emerge in the upcoming months.
I wish I were athletic.
You mean like me?
Since when are you athletic?
Well, let me tell you something. If doing this newscast was a sport, I'd be a pro.
Funny. Well, let's go to our weather pro, Kristen Bertel, to check out the forecast.
Hey Tigers, tonight's forecast will be pretty similar to last night's with temperatures in the low 60s and with some light wind picking up at 7 miles per hour. Looks like tomorrow we're finally going to break our rain-free streak and you can expect to see scattered thunderstorms in the morning and there's expected pickup again later in the afternoon. That's all the weather I have for you for now. Keep watching to see just how long that rain is expected to last.
After the break, go nuts for some donuts.
And look at the Acacia hazing situation.
Stay tuned, Tigers. Yesterday, we mentioned the Acacia fraternity is suspended for behavioral misconduct, and today we have an interview with the member that wrote a letter to Jonathan Sanders, the Associate Director of Greek Life, about the misconduct. Unfortunately, we're having some technical difficulties right now, but you can see the full story on our website, tigertv.tv.
Mardi Gras celebrations aren't over just yet. Your old Mardi Gras beads are worth their weight in donuts. Krispy Kreme on Plank Road has been accepting 12 pounds of Mardi Gras beads in exchange for a dozen free donuts. Krispy Kreme will donate the beads to the nonprofit organization Arc of Greater New Orleans to sort, restring, and sell for next year's Mardi Gras season.
Yeah, just everybody come in and bring in 12 pounds of beads, at least 12 pounds of beads, and we'll up to 12 o'clock tonight, and we'll give you a dozen donuts free or a coupon for a free dozen anytime you like to come back to the location.
After you're done donating for donuts, you could take part in another great Louisiana tradition, slurping up some salty oysters. But this one may not be easy. Tiger TV reporter Kira Schutte looked into the declining oyster industry here in the Bayou State.
The Louisiana seafood industry is boiling hot, but Louisiana is more than their crawfish, shrimp, and crabs. Oysters are also a staple, but the oyster industry isn't what it used to be. This $317 million industry accounts for 40% of the United States oysters and 4,000 local jobs. This once growing industry has been floundering. Most blame the 2010 BP oil spill, which dumped 200 million gallons of oil into the Gulf, destroying oyster beds and forcing oyster farmers out of business.
BP came and ruined the oil spill and ruined my whole business. All my oyster leases got covered in oil and I wasn't able to work for 2 or 3 years.
5 years later, the oyster industry is still struggling. In 2010, most people blamed the oil, but in 2015, could the culprit be money?
BP made a lot of spillionaires. Everybody got a share of the money. And it spoiled some people.
An oyster farmer that makes $10,000 in revenue could have received over $220,000 from BP in reparations. But according to local seafood restaurant owner Tommy Satanovich, Clark and Guidry may both be right.
After the oil spill, you had a lot of fishermen that cashed out and decided I'm not going to fish anymore.
But is cashing out just the beginning of the problem?
Existing oyster leases, the fishermen can fish for oysters, cultivate and produce. However, nobody can get new oyster leases.
With current legislation, there is no easy way to discern why oyster production in the Gulf remained sluggish in 2015. But one thing is clear, Louisianans can't live without their oysters.
The oyster season is closing early this year because of the declining harvest. Have you ever had oysters?
Once long ago, it was slimy.
You see, Larissa, as a Cajun man, that's how I like my oysters. Raw, slimy, and slurpable.
Slurpable?
Yeah.
Mitch Rabelais, ladies and gentlemen, making up new words.
Well, thank you very much. After the break, we'll take a look at our weather. And we just now have gotten the Acacia interview for you guys to hear right here for the first time.
We were locked in a room. We had to smoke 47 packs of cigarettes between all of us. Some people had to get big lips of dip, and a few people, had to consume so much tobacco or nicotine that they got sick. They probably got nicotine poisoning and were in the bathroom throwing up.
And as we said earlier in the show, for the full story, go to tigertv.tv. Now let's go over to Kristen Bertel with the weather.
Welcome back. Now let's see what the weather is looking like for the rest of the week. I know this has been mostly cloudy, but I'm sure you're all enjoying the warm weather anyway. But get your raincoat out because we're expecting some storms for most of Thursday. But don't worry, it'll clear up by tomorrow night and dry out for the rest of the week. Friday through Sunday, there's going to be a 0% chance of rain, and you can expect to see mostly the weekend. When we come back Monday, there will be a 50% chance of PM thunderstorms, but at least they'll clear up by Tuesday. Thanks for watching. Now back to you at the desk.
And that's all we have time for today, but you can stay updated with us on TigerTV.tv.
From all of us here at Newsbeat, good night.